Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, as usual. And you hear me start the show like that every single time. Was just getting ready and putting up Zoom, folks. Remember, if you want to call in, give us a call at 346-248-7799. And the ID is 254-600-9091. Again, the telephone number 346-248-7799. 7799, and the ID to get in is 254 600 9091. Maybe what I should do is I should put that into our feed so that people can see that in case they want to call in. It's a new thing now. You know, we're using Zoom instead of the regular telephone lines. Why? Reduce costs, efficiency. That's what we have to do when you're in the activism business. That's what we do. So I went ahead and I put that in there. Anyhow, folks, how are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing fine. Title of the show today is Conversation with a Young Political Activist. And then more Trump. Can you believe this? That's what it's going to be about. Can you believe this? And actually, we're going to start with, can you believe this? Anyhow, young people are in the streets and they know what they are doing. Durrel K. Douglas is a young activist that we'll hear about. But first, we're going to have a dosage of Trump. We are at a crossroads. And from the Black Lives Matter activists to the progressive activists, young people are making a difference. I peruse my friends on Facebook all of the times. And, you know, I read the essays that they write and all that kind of stuff. And invariably, many of you have things that just touch me. I mean, one of my favorite writers on Facebook, he does everything as a Facebook post, is a former congressional candidate, a professor at Stephen F. Austin College, Cody Polk. I love his stuff. I reblog his stuff. There's another person that I really like, and that's Durrel K. Douglas. I call him up and say, hey, I'd like to just have a chat with you to put you on the program because you know what? I love what you write. And I just want to hear about you because you're out there in the field. You're doing a whole lot of stuff. You're young. You are the future of you're the future of the country. So I wanted to just have a chat with him. And I think you're going to find the chat interesting. But before we get there, you know where we have to go. We have to go with a little bit of chitty-chatty, what's going on. You know, Trump is having this big rally in Tulsa, and I see Michael. Well, welcome, my dear brothers and sisters. Kathleen Marin Morgan, welcome aboard. Michael Rutnan, welcome aboard. AVQ, I'm going to try this. Avon John Q, I got it. I think I got it this time, brother. Anyhow, AVQ, welcome aboard. Look, Rudden has a number. Trump planning a hate rally in Tulsa. 99 years after the Tulsa Black Wall Street massacre where they bomb it, they burn it down, they massacred people because this was a set of people moving forward. They hated it. Oh, thank you. I got it close enough, brother. Thank you very much. That makes me feel really, really, really good. Folks, if you're just joining us, please remember to share. If you're on Facebook, share. If you're on Twitter, share. If you're on Periscope, share. If you're on Twitch, share. If you're anywhere, please share. YouTube, share. Because what? That is how we are going to get our message out. That is how we do it. You know that song that goes, that is how we do it, baby. Is that how it is? I mean, some of you guys are too young to know that. I think you're a bit too young for that, Senor Rudnin, but that's okay. But let's start. Donald Trump is having this big thing in Tulsa, you know? And, you know, while I was doing, you know, I think I was reprocessing the video from yesterday, and this little thing came across the screen. What is it? Breaking news, you know? And you turn around. These days, everything is breaking news. Turn around. And then I saw Tulsa in there, and I said, oh, maybe it's really, really breaking news. Well, here, check this out. And then we'll take it. Oh, Michael, I didn't think you don't look 45, brother. You look young. You look like you're probably 20-something. Man, I would never have known. Hey, Kathleen knew it also. I love that, Kathleen. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead. Trump is having a thing in Tulsa. You guys have to check this out. Ready? Are you sure you're ready? All right, be ready. To my brothers and sisters who love Trump, you know I love you, but guess who does not love you? Donald Trump. Donald Trump wants you to risk your life to go to his rallies, but he wants you to sign a waiver that says, oh my God, if you get sick by coming out to my rallies and you pick up the coronavirus, you're on your own. You can't go ahead and sue me. But at the same time, as the President of the United States, you think he would give you good health care so that even if you get sick, you can go to the doctor and get taken care of? Forget that. Check this out, folks. Check this out.
Some news about a Trump rally next month. Trump demanding that people sign a waiver before attending that rally, admitting that they might get coronavirus. Trump demanding that people sign a waiver before attending that rally, admitting that they might get coronavirus, and agreeing not to hold the Trump campaign responsible if they do get it. And agreeing not to hold the Trump campaign responsible if they do get it.
Are you game? Do you really love him so much that you'd put your life in risk to go and give him to have a photo op with 1,000 and 10,000 people going out there? People, understand who really cares about you. I'm making fun out of this, but this is some serious stuff. Understand who cares about you. Vote your economic, your health, and the interest of your family for a change. And as you guys know by now, they are not releasing the amount of money that, that big fund that they had in the stimulus package that was going to businesses. I think it was something like $500 billion that had the possibility of expanding to, I think, $4 trillion or something like that. Well, Mnuchin is now saying, "Niet, even though I agreed and told you I may show it to you after a couple of months or so, I am not showing you who we gave this money to. Niet, no le voy a mostrar el dinero. I'm not going to show you the." But guess what? I wonder why they're not going to show us. Maybe because the same thing that is occurring in Ireland or Scotland, I think it is maybe you think it could be happening here as well? Well, check this out.
The Scottish government confirms to NBC News that President Trump's golf courses and related businesses in Scotland will be receiving a $1.2 million bailout as part of a tax relief effort in response to the coronavirus pandemic. But officials from hard-hit areas in Scotland say that the president's personal wealth should disqualify his businesses from taxpayer funds. Let's bring in NBC News global correspondent Willem Marks from South Ayrshire in Scotland.
The one nearest to where I am at the moment in Ayrshire, the council here at least, said that they don't want to knock the business and that they don't want to knock the employees. It does provide employment in this region. In Aberdeenshire, where the other course and a company hotel is, the leader of the council there, or member of the council there, Martin Ford, said that he really didn't think that the president was appropriate getting this kind of money for his business.
The Scottish government is directly responsible for him being here at all, because they gave him planning permission, they gave him every encouragement to come here, they parroted his boasts and promises that he would produce an economic boom, that there would be thousands of jobs. The reality is that 12 years after he got planning permission, the golf resort is not built. There aren't thousands of jobs. There are fewer than 100 people employed. Far from contributing to the economy, he's never paid corporation tax because the business never made a profit and it always reports a loss. And now he's actually getting a taxpayer bailout.
And so, Katie, if you look at the financial records for these two businesses over the last 5 years, as I have, you'll see they've not made any profit. He's absolutely right. They haven't paid corporation tax to the British government. But this is the Scottish government providing this relief, something that the chairwoman of the House Oversight Committee, Carolyn Maloney, telling me is not appropriate and cannot be received by the Trump administration or the president because of the restrictions placed on them.
Willem Marks in Scotland.
Well, my gosh. Well, here it is I have on the screen, brothers and sisters. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin told Congress Wednesday that the Trump administration intends to keep secret the names of the businesses that have received more than $500 billion in COVID-19 bailout funds. The Paycheck Protection Program claiming the information is confidential, even by the Trump administration's infinitesimal low standards for accountability and oversight. This announcement was jaw-dropping, making sure trillions in tax dollars go to workers, not profiteers, begins with knowing where it goes. What are they hiding? This is from Public Citizen. Are massive corporations masquerading as small businesses receiving funds? Or President Donald Trump and Mnuchin pals getting money when they shouldn't be? More than likely, that's what it is. You notice he's begging for the money. Hey, Chichi Rodriguez, love you too, brother. And welcome aboard, Senor Sims. And Jesus, ¿cómo estás, mi hermano? My brother, Jesus. Okay. Making trillions. Okay, as it turns out, are massive corporations masquerading as small businesses receiving funds? Or President Donald Trump and Mnuchin pals getting money when they shouldn't be? These are questions that need to be answered, and the only way to do that is how again? Through complete transparency. The PPP loans are intended to help small businesses, and without a deep understanding of the recipient data, there is no way to know if Main Street businesses are getting what they need. Trump and Mnuchin must release the list of recipients immediately. Look, this is serious, but you know what? They're going to get away with it. You know why? Because right now, I tell you one thing, all Democrats should be doing, all the Democratic leaders, every day, they should be jumping on a microphone. They should be going on every independent media station, every mainstream media station and saying, where is this money going? We don't know where the money is gone. And since we don't know where the money is gone, by the way, we do need more for all those businesses that are on the tip of going bankrupt. And since this epidemic is going to last quite a bit longer, we must save them. We must save them. You know, today, but anyway, so I'm done with that particular subject. I'm done with that subject. Estoy terminado con ese sujeto. Estoy terminado con ese sujeto. I'm into something else now. Look, you know the big buzz right now is racism, because finally America is starting to see what POCs have been talking about a long time. So last night, I don't know what was happening to my Twitter feed. My Twitter feed had so many racist incidents. I was like, are they targeting me or something? I saw a woman in, I think, Arizona that slapped a white woman in her face after the white woman told the Mexican woman that you don't belong here. The Mexican woman said, I am from here, but you are from. Then I got another one where the cops again are beating the crap out of a 12-year-old kid. Then I get another one where, and this one was in Canada. Apparently Canada has some of the problem, not as bad as here, but with some of the indigenous people. So I kept getting these, and I said, you know what? I want to do the show on this just to show, because I don't know if it was special to my Twitter feed or not, but I wanted to go ahead and show folks what's going on there, because I think this is a moment, right? A lot of good white folk don't think, when a lot of times when we complain, because they are intrinsically good, they don't, they understand their privilege, they understand all these things, but they just can't believe that people would do the things that we do, that we talk about, that's done to us, right? So I was going to play that, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to hold off on that until the next show, because I probably need to put it into a more cogent manner. So I'm going to do it in a more cogent manner, including with the blog. I really wanted to read the blog because the blog was presented. The blog that I wrote with the thing with the 12-year-old kid is an important blog, but I'm going to hold back on that. What I'm going to go with, however, is to show you the type of things that people of color, assumptions, go through time after time after time. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Growing calls tonight for an Ohio state senator to step down over what he said about African Americans and COVID-19. Republican Steve Huffman was speaking to the director of the Ohio Commission of Minority Health, who testified the black community has been disproportionately hit by the virus. The senator admitting there are clear disparities, then asking this.
Could it just be that African Americans or the colored population do not wash their hands as well as other groups, or wear masks, or do not socially distance themselves? Could that just be the explanation
Senator Huffman, that is not the opinion of leading medical experts in this country. So do all populations need to wash their hands? Absolutely, sir. But that is not where you are going to find the variance and the rationale for why these populations are more vulnerable.
The hearing was about whether to declare racism a public health crisis. Tonight, one of Huffman's Democratic colleagues says the words he used and the question he asked highlights what racism is from a systemic perspective.
And David, as you mentioned, that state senator, also a doctor, fired tonight from the healthcare company where he works. That company saying that his statements were wholly inconsistent with their values. Huffman apologizing, saying his choice of words was, quote, awkward.
Now, I am lost to how an intelligent person would go on the state floor and say something like that. And I can only come to the conclusion that one of two things. He knew what he was doing, and to appease his base, he wanted to show that he could denigrate people of color. He could denigrate them on national TV, where he know that he was going to be on. Or the second thing is that he's oblivious to all the recessive forms of racism that has been instilled in him and the preconceived misconception he has on other people of other races. Guess what? People of other races are clean. People of other races take showers. People of other races care about their kids. People of other races eat with whatever that particular culture that they're a part of eat with. There is a people that live so secluded into their own being that they just don't understand that we're all alike. Not only are we all alike, we have the same pains. We have the same wants. We have the same desires. We just have different melanin. And that racism that is inside of you, guess where it came from? It came from some of your own who was trying to control you and gave you a false sense of superiority so that you would be the guardians of their gates. And after the slavery was done, we continued to use it by creating guardians of the gates. But this time we opened the door to a few of all these different peoples to become guardians of the gates so that we can say, we were a homogeneous society. We have to go in. I have to have a 2-hour show or 3-hour show on race where I also take calls. Because what I would like to take a show with a call with a whole bunch of white racists. And my great white audience that's here, I want you there because I don't want you only listening to the show. That day that I do that big audience with on racism, where I'm going to probably have it for 3 hours or maybe however long it goes. But I want my white brothers and sisters that are regulars here, good people, both the conservatives and the liberals and others. I want you here. You know why I want you here? Because I want to put you on to talk to some of these same white folks that are going to be the racist ones. You're going to talk. I want you to talk to them too. I've heard some stories from some of my listeners. I mean, in fact, I've heard one of the wonderful stories that I heard was given here by Kathleen, who is on right now. So well so that I blogged it, took it out to Daily Kos and other places, and it went viral. That was a hell of a prescient message she gave on the phone. I asked, hey, I'm going to use that baby because you are going to help a lot of people. And guess what? You did. You should have seen the commentary at Daily Kos. Amazing. Amazing. Welcome aboard, KM Summer. Anyhow, I got to get to the featured guest today because we're going to run out of time. And you know me, I'm kind of long-winded at many times. So here we go with El Señor Durrel K. Douglas. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. I'm here with Durrel K. Douglas. Man, I read his Facebook long essays and I just love them. And you know, I kind of said, you know what, let me give this guy and see if he'll give me the honor of coming on to Politics Done Right. Durrel K. Douglas, thank you so kindly for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you, tell me a little about yourself first, because I don't know all the details about you, but when I look at what you write, I have some assumptions. So tell me about you. What do you do? All that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. So let's take it back to '86. I was born, grew up in South Park,
Uh-huh.
on a street called Selinsky,
Uh-huh.
in the Crestmont Village apartments right next to Foxwood. Those of y'all who know the area. And eventually I would end up, my first job out of high school was working at the prison.
Uh-huh.
So I did that because it was like, oh, this is a way to make some money. But it ended up being one of the most valuable experiences of my life because I learned so much. While my friends were at brick and mortar universities, I was at Hard Knock University. And so I worked there for 5 years, eventually leaving with the rank of lieutenant. And it was just really a learning experience because the prison is faster than the real world, but it's like a microcosm of society. And I mean, if you're fair and if you do your job the right way, you won't have any problems. And so a lot of the books that I started to read, a lot of I learned from those who were in prison, seriously. And some of the most brilliant people are behind bars. And so, you know, eventually I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to be part of this system. I think my work here is done. And so, interesting. I'm gonna tell a quick story because it kind of talks about how I got into what I do. So my mom started working at the prison at the same time I did. We went through boot camp together.
Wow.
Weird, I know. Yeah, it's crazy. So I get to a certain point where I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm putting in my 2 weeks. And she's like, boy, you gonna give up your state job with benefits? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm just gonna push all my chips forward, tell the dealer, put it on black, roll it, right? And so I ended up that week going to a Harris County Young Dems meeting, okay? Because I was just researching stuff, like I want to get into politics, I want to change stuff. So where do I go? So I went to Harris County Young Democrats meeting. It was at Tacos A Go-Go. And this lady named Erica Lee was the speaker.
Right.
And I didn't know who she was. And she was the speaker. I kind of went up to her afterwards. I was like, hey, I want to get into politics, this and that. I quit my job. I got a lot of free time. So she was like, okay, come to me with U of H on Monday. We're registering voters. And so I showed up. And I just kept showing up. And so finally, one day, I used to drive like a 2002 Mitsubishi Eclipse I had a suspension problem because because one day I don't remember exactly the way it happened, but I hit a curb one day and that was it. So I was having to buy used tires all the time, and I was getting flats like once a week. I'm getting a flat, right? So she calls me and she's like, "Hey, you've been volunteering." I treated it like a full-time job, right?
Uh-huh.
She's like, "You've been volunteering. Come to this luncheon. You can sit at my table. You know, it's a fundraising luncheon, but come." And I had never been to anything like that, right? So I'm headed there, and guess what? I have a flat. And I think to myself, yeah, exactly. So I think to myself, no problem. I had them to come and change the flat because I don't know how to change a flat. Still to this day, don't know how to change a flat. And I'm on my way to the event. I'm just riding down Westheimer, and guess what happened?
Another flat.
And so Erica is calling again saying, hey, where are you? Because I was running late before, and now I'm like really late. And the last time I was talking to her, I was like, hey, sorry, I had a flat. They're fixing it now. There's no way I'm gonna tell this lady I had another flat like that. It's just not gonna. Uh-huh. So I pull in, and it's kind of right because it's on flat. I pull into one of the parking lots at the Galleria, actually, and I call some of my friends to see who can pick me up. This is before Uber. This is like 2010. Yeah, 2010. This is before Uber. So I'm just like, okay, I'm stuck here. It's hot. You know, I'm in this suit. I'm just gonna go in the Galleria has like a movie there. I'm gonna go in here and watch a movie until somebody can come pick me up. And then I think to myself, wait a minute. It was the Royal Sonesta Hotel, which is not that far from here. So lock the door and walk/jog all the way there. So I get to the hotel, and you know what it's like when you get somewhere, you're running late, you're discombobulated because you're sweating and the sun was in your eyes, so it's really dark inside, and then you gotta pee. and you haven't checked in at the desk, and all that's going on. I go, I check in, and the lady tells me, oh, she's at table number 3. Well, table number 3
In the
was
front.
yes. So I go up there, and lo and behold, guess who was sitting at the table with her?
Her mother.
But I didn't know it was her mom. I did.
Sheila.
So once the whole thing was over, she introduces me to her mom, and she says, this is the young man that I told you about, the super volunteer. And that Monday, I had my first job in politics, my first paid job in politics.
Hired you.
No, I ended up working for the Harris County for the coordinated campaign.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And so from there, while doing that, I ended up meeting state reps. And so they, one of them invited me to come up in 2011 to Austin. I worked the ledge session. And then while I was there, a lot of what you do is meeting other orgs on their behalf. Met some folks at top. When session was over, they were like, hey, come work with us. And then I've worked for AFL-CIO, I worked for SEIU, I've worked for labor unions, I've worked for little orgs, big orgs. And so now I have HoustonJustice.org. That's the organization but I don't get paid for that, right?
Is that yours, or is that your organization?
Yeah, yeah. Founded, so Project Orange, probably hear a lot of stuff about Project Orange. I came up with that. But you never, I'm very strategic about not taking the spotlight.
Right.
So very rarely will you see me saying like Project Orange, blah, blah, blah. No, you're going to see someone new that is going to really enjoy being on Fox 26 or on whatever. It's going to make them that much more devoted to the movement. And
right.
So that's kind of my story.
So now, these are 2 nonprofits that you formed?
No, so Project Orange is under the umbrella of Houston Justice.
Okay, yeah. Got it.
Yeah,
got it. So anyhow, did you go to the George Floyd's rallies at all?
I didn't.
And
I didn't go to the rally. But I mean, I'm there with solidarity. I had a bunch of calls and stuff like that. And in fact, there's like a group of us that are working on like some ordinances and stuff like that. But no, I didn't. This time, I didn't go to the rallies.
Well, something. Let me ask you, what do you think about the entire issue altogether? I mean, I really want to hear your thoughts, because this is not anything new, right? I mean,
absolutely. No.
We look at this guy having his knee on the neck as a horrific form of death. But we also have Philando Castile. We also have Michael Brown. We also have, by persons, we have Ahmaud Arbery, and by regular citizen again, we have Trayvon Martin. I don't know that any one of them were less gruesome than the other, but this one seemed to have an impact that I wonder if it's going to change things. Your thoughts?
I think things are slowly escalating. So we saw Eric Garner get choked, and this time, in a chokehold, this time it was on camera, right?
Right.
This time, not only was he choked, it was with the knee, right? So these things are slowly increasing. I think that anyone that knows anything about history, if you look at any revolution, right, it has always started with something like this. I think a lot of people get confused because they see people protesting and they think that it's only about Mr. Floyd.
That incident.
And it's not. It's not just about that incident. I want you to think back to when, perhaps your mom, right, came home from work and you left your socks in the bathroom and she exploded. And then she just went on this tirade about these socks on the floor. And you're like, what? No, it's not just the socks. It's the dishes that weren't done the other day. It's the time that she had to wait after school when you knew she was out there waiting on you. It's everything else that has become the straw that's broken the camel's back. And there are a lot of people who tried to point to Dr. King quotes, and they're there, they take a scalpel and they kind of cut around and they get the good parts, the parts that sort of whitewash his legacy, because and you can understand why, because they only teach part of the history. Dr. King did not make a speech one day and then everybody held hands and it was lollipops and gumdrops, right? And then he lived a long life making quotes and stuff, you know, making money off his quotes, you know, and he lived to be 95 years old. No, he was assassinated. And honestly, towards the end of his life, he was very radical.
He was, I mean, come on, he came out against the war. He talked about poverty and
absolutely. And in his day, he was seen as a troublemaker. So I just find it baffling how the same people who every year support, you know, they're talking about Dr. King, or they're talking about Fannie Lou Hamer, or even the people that supported, you know, Kaepernick, right? That don't understand that, like, there's another side to it. There's a total another side to those people, and it's not the mild, acceptable version of it. And sadly, we've reached a point where none of that stuff worked. And I'll tell you this, when I used to work at the prison, okay, the worst, and you know, occasionally you get a call that's like, hey, we got to go down to whatever block or whatever. You hear it on the radio, they need additional supervisor or whatever. And if I had time, I would look them up right quick, okay? If this guy's got, you know, a 5-year sentence, he's done 2 on it, he's coming up for parole, you know, you can reason with him. You can go in and you can say, hey, you know, chill out. When I would go and look them up, and by number of years, it says 99 or 50, he's got a 50-year sentence, and he served 3 on it. And his parole eligibility date is
20 years down.
20 years down. Oh, he has nothing to lose, right?
I love that you said that, Durrel. Yes.
That inmate whose mama doesn't come every weekend to see him in visitation, that inmate whose commissary says 0, mess with him if you want to, because he has nothing to lose. That's the guy that's sitting Indian style on his bunk and has put baby oil and Vaseline all on the floor and broken a couple of light bulb glasses, the glass, and spread it about, and he's waiting on them to come in because he has nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. And I think as a people, using history as a guide, we have tried everything else. We've tried holding hands. We've tried marching. We've tried rallying. Kaepernick took a knee. People lost their minds. He took a knee, right? But now it's like, okay, we kicked it up a notch. And now things are going to kind of get out of hand. And guess what? Using history as a guide, that's what happens. That is where we are. And so Trump today just did his little thing where and it's funny because I was literally on a call while it happened, right? So I get off and everybody's like, Trump. I'm like, what the hell happened over an hour, right? So he's sending the military in. Guess what? It's a game of chess.
Yes.
He moved one. What do you think the response will be? What do you think people are going to say? Oh, he's kicked it up a notch. We'll just go home. No. And I remember because back in 2014 when Ferguson happened, okay, and we were out there, and you know our rally turned into a march. We were blocking streets and stuff like that. And I'll never forget people who were older than me saying, and this would be a recurring theme, they would say, oh, this new generation, right? And they were talking about millennials. So I'm 33, I'll be 34 this year. They were like, this new generation doesn't hold the same, like the reverence that some people have for like these pastors. I'm not disrespectful initially, like I'm not gonna go and, you know, just cuss somebody out. But I don't look at them like this.
Exactly.
I look at them like this.
Exactly.
And so, it was weird initially, and now I get it, because now it's only been 6 years, right? But I was on the tail end of it, and I look at the 20-year-olds now.
The Gen Zs, yeah, you said it in your piece.
And I say, whoa.
They don't play.
Yeah, they do not play. And I think we have to think about what they have lived through, right? If you were born in 2000, right? In the year 2000, what were schools like? You probably had fire drills. They had these gun drills, right? They've seen, they never knew a time where there wasn't the internet, right? They don't remember it. When they were in 2005, the internet was readily available.
There. Come on, I wrote my first HTML code back in the 80s, man.
Right. So but they've seen this, and so I think just like with every sort of uncomfortable hiccup in history, and we're at one right now. Right. Like one of the interesting things that I was talking to this lady when I was living in Dallas. Her name was Mama Nell. Mama Nell was from New Orleans. I was working for Top at the time, and Mama Nell was one of the community leaders, right? So, she didn't work anymore, but we had an agreement. Like, she didn't have a car, right? And I didn't know how to cook. So, so Mama Nell would get her stamps, I think, on the 15th, and I think one day I was inviting her to a meeting or something, and she was like, well, on that day I gotta, ride the bus to the store or whatever. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, if I give you a ride, would you? And she was like, yeah. So I started giving her rides, and I was getting, free food. And also that conversation was so valuable, the ride there, the ride back. And she was telling me about how, I'll never forget her saying, y'all call it the civil rights movement. And your little books and stuff, you look back at it and you read about the civil rights movement. She said, when we were going through it, we didn't call it anything. We were just living.
You live, exactly.
And she said, y'all read the books knowing how it ended. We didn't. She said she remembers Bloody Sunday, and people saying, why didn't that King guy just stop? Why didn't he just chill?
That is so sad, and it's the same thing that we have again, just in a different flavor.
Absolutely. Your Candace Webbers and your Ashton Woods. People like that who are pushing the envelope, who probably, let me tell you something, 20, 30 years from now, will have awards named after them. Right.
I mean, I love them both, I hang out with Ashton out there at Netroots whenever we go.
Daniel Cohen.
I love Daniel Cohen too. Daniel is my man.
Yes.
So there are a lot of, I mean, that's one thing here in Houston. We have a lot of great activists that I tell them they're not just Houstonians, they're national, because a lot of folks watch them nationally. So, I mean, that, which is an important thing. But Durrel, so, I mean, let's get on to the Democratic Party and the elections. What are your thoughts?
Yes. So 4 years ago, 4 years ago. Okay. 4 years ago, I was working for a big labor union. Okay. And it was intentional. I was looking at my resume and I was like, you know what? I wanted to have like a well-rounded, I wanted to be able to sit at the table, look at big orgs, little orgs, faith orgs, C3, C4, like I wanted to know all the functions, and I wanted to know kind of the lay of the land. So I was like, 2016, I want to work for a big labor union in a blue city, a labor city, right? Where I could play on the varsity team. Like labor unions in big cities that aren't in right to work states. Listen, you talk about power.
Yes.
Whoa. So I'm up there, I'm working in Seattle, and I was on Team Bernie, okay? Not initially, because you remember he kind of had the announcement where he kind of did this halfway kind of like, announcement like, yes, I'm running,
Right.
But somewhere along I think it was after one of his primary wins where he didn't pussyfoot around it. he called out systemic racism and the pathway to prison. I'm like, who is this white dude going in like this? And he's like 100, like, yes, you know? And then I think it was the Alpha stepping, because one of his things were like taking long. And so they just started. And what's funny, I heard that Clinton at one of her stops was trying to recruit the fraternities to, like, could you do the thing, like her group? And it's like, that's not how that worked. It was spontaneous. Come on, right? And so I remember I was on a call, and I'm not identifying this union. I was on a call with their national folks, and they were basically saying, hey, we're gonna go nationally with Hillary. And y'all need to figure out a way, do some surveys or something, to make your local people in your states feel like they were like more part of the process. And I'm like, what? No vote, no, just boom. And this is gonna happen when? 6 weeks from now, right? And so I made a list.
It really went like that, huh?
Yeah, yes. So I made a list because I had to do damage control. That was my job, right? Like, and I was in the political department, okay? And so I made a list of the members who I knew. There were like 5 or 6 of them that were really active and really influential. And they were Bernie people. Mm-hmm. And I knew I had to have one-on-one coffee with each of them and kind of ease it to them, right? And that was like the first step of me, like I could vomit.
Selling your soul,
thinking about, selling my soul. After the last one, I was like, right? And I put on the Hillary shirt. I knocked on doors, okay? I was in Broward County the week before the election, okay? I voted for her, okay? 4 years later, and it's almost like a copy paste, and people are like, oh, you know, it's only 2 choices. Oh, you gotta, and I'm like, no. First of all, as Black people, I don't feel that our vote is earned, right? Everybody else, if you look at a white person, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is trying to get their vote. Same thing for everybody else, but only
in fact they changed policy. That's why we're always talking about, move to the center. It's not moving to the center, it's moving to where we think those votes are.
Exactly. It's moving to where we think those folks are. And so since they already kind of have us in the pocket, it's like, oh, no. We don't have to, like, you know, you don't go after what you already have, try to get those people. And so, you know, I kind of got to a point where I said, you know what? Imagine what would happen if not that many Black people voted in the presidential election. Would that be enough to force the Democrat? Because if you really look at the lay of the land, if you took Black people completely out of it, it's about even Republican Democrat. Right. It's only when you add us at 90%
that you have
that they are able to be really competitive, right? Even in places where they are. In fact, I would argue that there are more conservative, there are more Republican white folks, slightly more than there are Democrats. So they need us. And it feels like, and keep in mind when I say that I feel like they want our votes, and then after the election, it's like, okay, now y'all go over there and we're gonna make all the decisions. Or we'll give you some like token, you know, we'll put you on an advisory board, or, you know, we'll come to your church and I'll give you, there's Egbert. I see Brother Egberto on the second row, and that's good enough. No, it is not. And I think I went from saying, you know, like, oh, you know, you got to, you know, we got to strengthen it. You need to saying, you know what? No. How about I bust the basketball and nobody gets to play? I literally did that in the 5th grade, living on Zelensky. This will give you a little more about who I am.
Did you just say, you're kidding me?
Yeah. You live on Zelensky?
I know who it is. Yeah. The guy from Chicago. Yeah.
Okay. No. I said I lived on Selinsky Street.
I misunderstood. Okay, I was saying, man, this guy was reading while he was young.
No.
Okay.
So I was living on Selinsky, and my parents couldn't afford to send me to like a daycare. So instead, I had to go to the Boys and Girls Club. And so, for the summer, right? They couldn't afford to send me to day camp or whatever, right? It wasn't like, and so every day at a certain part, they would send us out to play. And we would either play, dodgeball or kickball, or they would kind of open it up and we could play like Foursquare. You ever play Foursquare?
No.
Foursquare, it's it's cool. You draw a square and then you kind of hit the ball. It's more strategic. But there was this guy, his name was Gregory Johnson. And when you're in the fifth grade, you're 11 or 12 years old, somewhere around there. Well, this kid hit his growth spurt much earlier than the rest of us. So he had to be, I don't know, like 5'10" or something. And he was a bully. And so he would always hide, he always wanted to play dodgeball or kickball because he would hurl the ball at us kids, or he would kick it over the fence, right? And so he would hide the chalk so we couldn't play a Foursquare. He wouldn't do it every time, but he would do it sometimes, right? And there were only, I don't know, when you play Foursquare, it would be like, I don't know, maybe 5 balls or so. Because you got 4 kids playing with one, and So one day I just got enough. He went to hide the chalk, and the instructor or whatever was coming back and was like, okay, what are we going to do today? And it was about to be the same thing. He was about to go over to the drawer, pull it out, and there was going to be no chalk. So I went over to the art closet, and I got the scissors, and I went and I popped all the balls.
No.
And so I'll never forget the little instructor guy. He was kind of shocked, not only because I destroyed property, but it was like, now no one gets to play. And I was like, that's fine. That's fine. Because he doesn't get to play kickball, either. And he's not going to hide the chalk anymore.
Right.
And guess what, Egberto? He never did. He never did after that. Now, we went 3 or 4 days with no balls, but collateral damage.
That is. Let me tell you that right now. I am hesitant. Look, first of all, I think Biden will do what is necessary to win over the vote, including maybe yours, right?
Yeah.
But I'd expect nothing out of it.
Yeah.
I think we've lost our opportunity this year, or rather this period. And and to put it bluntly, it's like, black people, what were you thinking about in South Carolina?
Yes. That made me sick to my stomach. It's like, no, that's the time where you say, no, sorry. And it should have been a group decision. Like, hey, they need us, right? All those from state rep or dog catcher all the way up to Clyburn, right? It should have been, we're not going to pick, of course, but you know what the problem is? A lot of them want to be on that first round to pick the person, because then you get to hold that over their head. And I do. Yeah. I believe that, let me tell you, I'm, working with folks, we're registering voters in jails and stuff. We're, I get it, right? And hopefully he's able to convince me. I talked to, Tina Kingshill with Project Orange. I talk to her all the time, and I'm like, I hope someone can convince me. I really, because I've reached this point where it's like, am I going to undervote the presidential race? Because I'm not voting for Trump. I'm not. But it's like, how many more times am I think if I didn't work 2016, I'd probably look at it differently. Mm-hmm. Like the number of days that I had to go out and sell it.
Right.
Sell it. And I knew how she got a lot of those endorsements. The same way she got that one, right? And I saw the backhanded stuff, and it's just like, no, we can't we have to leverage our vote.
Let me tell you something. I think if we take a look at going forward, and I just think we're in a very difficult position right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think with all the things that we've done, both with the election in 2016, with having Trump doing what Trump is doing right now. Look, I don't see us losing.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see us moving forward. And it's your generation that is going to be that we're going to have to hold on to hope that you guys do something.
But you know what's crazy? Here's what's crazy. The other people that are saying just what I'm saying, one of my friends, I won't call her name out, she worked in Obama's White House. She was in DC. She worked for Obama's White House. She's withholding her, huh?
Yeah, withholding the vote. Yeah.
She's withholding her vote. Another one of my friends who worked for a labor union. Another one of my friends who was a staffer for a U.S. Senate campaign. These aren't just like I think very similar to 2016. There's a whole lot of work to be done. I think, when you look historically, anytime America usually votes for who's charismatic and
right.
who's more entertaining. So in 2016 it was Trump, and in 2008 and 2012 it was Obama.
Right.
Like, look at it. Bush was more entertaining than Gore.
True.
Right. It's just so he's gonna and Trump is an incumbent president. Like it's gonna be hard, and I think I'm pretty sure this is probably gonna end up on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on YouTube, I see I saw an ad the other day, and it was a Biden ad, and it was like, hey, I really need your help, building this movement, and I thought it was satire. I was like, that's the one that they used. I think about it.
Well, while Trump has a great social media team.
Oh my gosh.
He has a great social media team. Biden has a lousy social media team completely. Yeah. And the thing about it is, how do you get around that? I don't know how. I just think, and I could be wrong, Durrel, but I think the country is going to be in such bad shape in the next 2 months. I mean, I'm talking about depression-like state. In other words, I think depression-type state, it'll take magic for Trump to somehow be the one who comes out of that. So I'm thinking that if we are really in as bad economic shape that I think we're going to be in, I think then by default, Biden wins. Now, when that happens, if that happens, I don't know where we go from there. Because I don't see look, the truth of the matter is the only solution to where we're at right now is some sort of a very, very strong social safety net. It's going to be be forced into democratic socialism.
Yes.
That's the only answer that we're going to have, right?
Yes.
And the powers that be are going to try to fight that so hard, because once Americans taste that,
right,
they ain't going back.
Right. Well, but then you have to wonder, will Biden be someone who gets one term, and then the argument becomes, well, he's got to get reelected. He's going to save it for the day. Like, this is kind of what they, like, I can see into the future. It's what they're going to say. I do think, if you go to Biden's YouTube page or his Facebook, like, his comments are off.
Yes.
How is it social media and the comments are off? You should leave them on, and you should be reading what people are saying, and you should address the problems in the next ad.
They are coasting. The idea behind the Biden campaign is let Trump beat himself.
Yeah.
It's not let me win. It's let Trump beat himself.
Let Trump, stay out of the way, stay in the basement.
Stay out of the
kind of, keep it, and it's true, and it's kind of working. Like, this COVID thing sadly plays to Biden's benefit, because here's the thing. Right now, Trump would be in Mississippi somewhere with 30,000 people in some arena.
Yes.
With Fox News, they cover the entire. When does that happen? I mean, it's like 90 minutes, and they will cover 90 minutes of it. And then Biden, I don't know if you noticed, but during 2016, Clinton, like, okay, when Clinton and Bernie came to Seattle, Bernie was at like where the Seahawks play, okay?
Right.
Clinton was like in some high school gymnasium, and they put up like the little velvet rope things to kind of put them in a square to make the room seem bigger than it was.
Right.
Because I saw one of them on CNN. I'm like, is that Rainier Valley High School? Rainier Beach High School? Like the gym? That looks like it was the gym.
Yeah.
And they put a big American flag over there, like,
and it looks bigger than it was.
Yeah, it looks much bigger than it was. But no, I think they may be trying to coast, but I think they're miscalculating the enthusiasm gap. I think you're going to have a lot of people who are, imagine when the debates start, because they're going to debate. They're going to debate. And Trump is a horrible human being. But one thing you can't say is that he's not a showman.
Right.
And he is going to, I don't know what kind of medication or what kind of protein shakes that guy is drinking, but he's in his upper 70s.
And he has energy.
He has energy. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, and that's the issue. If they do debate, I think he's going to make a fool out of Biden. I think, and it's not that Biden couldn't do the same. It's that Biden is going to get so tongue-tied that what comes out is probably going to sound like gibberish. But look, we're getting to the end of my period here, Durrel. I just wanted to kind of pick your brain and talk to you because I consider you one of one of our millennial stars that's doing a whole lot in the political sphere, and I really like your writing. So I thanks so kindly for spending this time and just having a chat about politics, about what's going on around the country.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. I really enjoyed doing that interview with Durrel. That's why it went longer than normal. Anyhow, we are close to the end of the show. I want to just invite you all to go ahead and go to patreon.com, patreon.com/politics done right. I'm putting that into the feed right now to become subscribers of our show. We will have a show again, of course, on Monday. I'm looking into some interviews for this weekend. If it turns out, I don't know, I may put on an impromptu show over the weekend. I'm not sure yet. If you also want to contribute via PayPal, please go to paypal.me/politics done right. Again, that is paypal.me/politics done right. If you're listening on YouTube, you can always give us a super chat. Super chat work well as well. And please don't forget to visit our store, and that's on the screen right now. Visit our store at store.politicsdoneright.com. Store.politicsdoneright.com. It's been my pleasure being here with you today. I thank you so kindly for being with you. I can't answer any of your items. I'll look through it when I'm done here to see which ones require me to answer. I thank you everybody for being here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel, and please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.